Hey guys.
Hello, everyone. Hello to whoever even listens to this podcast, which I don't think anyone will listen to apart from the teacher. So, hi, Mrs. Sufran.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I hope we get good grades after this.
Yeah, I
We put
hope.
in
This
a
has
lot
been
of
really
work.
hard to actually set up.
We've we've put in a lot of work into this. Blood, sweat, and tears. Am I
Yeah.
right? All
She's had
right.
to do her
So,
makeup twice.
I literally had to do my makeup twice, yesterday and today, and get dressed up and everything.
But we're all good now, so
Uh,
let's carry on with this mediocre
Yeah,
podcast.
let's do this podcast that nobody's even gonna listen to. It's all good. It's all
We're all
good.
good.
It's all good. It's all
So
good.
we're starting off with both of our stories, basically. One is the barber, and the other one is
The I was gonna say the teacher. Jesus, no. Weird science in Puerto Rico. That's my story. That's my
yeah,
part of the story, which is about the teacher. Yes,
basically.
and yeah, who's gonna start it off? I mean, then welcome to this podcast. Welcome to El Barbero y el Maestro, or the
All.
barber and the teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a podcast where we're gonna discuss this book right here. It's called War Against All Puerto Ricans. Yeah, we both have it. So we're gonna be discussing some chapters in this book. So the chapters we're gonna be discussing, in specific is chapter what's the number of your chapter? I
Mine's
know mine is
chapter
chapter 22.
15. Chapter 15, the barber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
So it's chapter 15, the barb, which is page 157 for anyone who has the book and wants to like
If
follow along with
anyone
us.
wants to read along.
Yeah, if everyone wants to
I mean, we're not
do
reading it, but
this.
like you can
We're not
also
even
read
reading
it.
it.
We condone it.
So
It's
yeah,
a good book. It's a good book.
yeah, y'all don't need to read it. We haven't even read it.
Completely.
Oops.
Completely. We've read some
My
of it.
chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we read like 2 pages. I don't know.
Yeah.
The name of my chapter is Weird Science in Puerto Rico. It's chapter 22, which is page 239. That's where it
Which
starts.
I haven't read
Um,
anything about it. It's a surprise. I'm gonna be discussing it
yeah,
with her. She's gonna be talking to me about it, and I'm gonna be answering some questions, I think.
exactly. I'm gonna be asking you some questions. I'm gonna be interviewing. Don't worry, it's not a quiz or a test. It's just like opinion. So all you gotta do is pay attention, basically, and you'll
Yes.
be able to like answer those questions. And same with him. He's
Same
gonna
with
discuss
me.
this chapter, and he's gonna say anything he needs to say about the barber
On a
in the
side note,
chapter.
we're not professionals. It's
No,
probably
not
gonna
at
be
all. It's
really like
clear.
filled with mistakes, but like, it's
Yeah,
all
I
right.
think it's clear by now that
Yeah.
we have never done this before. I think
We
it's
could,
clear by now that
dude,
we've
watch
never
us
done
just
it.
have like a full blown podcast after this. Who knows?
I don't, dude. I don't even know. That's like, oh God, no.
I
That's
mean, it's
ridiculous.
possible. It's possible.
I don't know what I'm even gonna talk about. I'm doing this now because someone's giving me a topic, even though this is kind of, you know.
Spontaneous.
But it's alright.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
to say the least.
Because I cannot raise my eyebrow.
I kind of can. Wait.
Single eyebrow. I can't do that. That's a skill I don't possess, unfortunately.
I can try.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get into this.
Let's
I'm gonna
jump
start
into it.
Let's do this.
Um,
Who's gonna even start? Am I gonna start or are you gonna start? I can
I
go either way.
I wouldn't like to start, but if you want me to, I'll start.
Oh, I'll start. I'll do it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. I got. All right. So I'm gonna start then with my part, which chronologically in the book we're doing it backwards, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, the master
I'm gonna start with.
is present
I
everywhere,
guess
so
the whole
yeah.
book is about. Yeah, the teacher. So
Did I say the master?
about him. Basically, it's just like. I mean,
Eh,
it's
maestro,
like
master.
direct translation. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, people who are pressed about like, shouldn't y'all be doing it in Spanish? I'm talking like if many people view this. Oh my god, like we have so
Yeah,
many
we have
viewers.
so many viewers.
Oh
Probably one.
my god. Anyone who views this and goes like, why aren't they talking Spanish if they're like Puerto Rican? It's just one thing. This is all United States fault.
Yeah, this is
I think this
the product of them actually conquering us and teaching us, forcing us to be
this
taught
is
English.
exactly exactly this is the consequences
And it
for
makes
getting
it easier for both of us.
your own language. Like
Yeah.
yeah, and it's easier. By the way, no hemos olvidado hablar español, pero uh,
It could be Spanglish,
gotta make it in
so
English. It's mostly gonna be Spanglish because if I start speaking español, si empiezo a hablar en español, voy a terminar hablando en inglés. If I start speaking in English, I'm gonna end
yeah,
up talking in Spanish.
talking
It's
Spanish.
always how it goes.
If I forget a
Um,
word, I'll say it in
like
Spanish or
every
vice
bilingual
versa.
person in the world.
Yeah.
Exactly, and vice versa. It doesn't matter. Anyways, that aside, I'm gonna be starting with my chapter then. My chapter, like I said earlier, is chapter 22 of the book War Against All Puerto Ricans, and it's called Weird Science in Puerto Rico. All right. Um, we had to like choose our chapters. Like, we had to like choose them. I chose this one because it's like super interesting. Like for me, anything that has to do with like unsolved murders and stuff like that, and mysteries and theories and debates. For me, I find it super interesting. Unsolved crime for me is really really interesting. And recently, I've been getting into I'm just questioning everything in my life, because like government kind of sucks, especially the
Conspiracy
United States
theories.
government. And seeing a chapter that deals with,
I'm glad
kind
we're
of the
talking
US
about kind
government
of, yeah.
and stuff, I was gonna pick that.
Yeah.
Y'all know. So this chapter, I think I've off a few hints about what's about basically, but it's about the mysterious death of Pedro Albizu Campos, which is known as a teacher. And for anyone who doesn't know who he is, he was president of the Nationalist Party. The Nationalist Party were people who wanted independence for Puerto Rico from the United States. It's something that we see till this day. It's not something that's new
It's
or
something
that
that's
was
still
left back
prominent.
in those. Yeah, very prominent actually, very very prominent. That Puerto Ricans desire independence from the United States,
Yeah.
and here there's a few reasons why that desire makes sense. In this chapter, it talks about a lot of things. So yeah, that was Pedro Albizu Campos. He was president of the Nationalist Party, and he was just a person who really wanted independence for Puerto Rico, and he was an advocate for that, and you know the people liked him. He was a really likable guy, and he was kind of like
He was fighting for
peaceful.
something that people wanted.
Yeah, people wanted that, and he was doing it a peaceful way. No confrontation. Just speeches here and there, and just you know, a very very laid back kind of guy who was very intelligent. He studied abroad in Harvard and all these really prestigious universities. He was like a really a fine man in the sense that he was. Let me look for it in Spanish if I cannot find it in English.
He was
Era un
likable, I
hombre,
guess.
o sea, fino. Era un hombre fino, era inteligente, era recto. Y, ¿verdad? Y era buen líder. Y la gente, people liked following him because people liked what he stood for.
Yeah.
Because they stood for that as well. Which at that time, it was almost everyone in Puerto Rico wanted out. They did not want to be part. They wanted to have nothing to do with the United States whatsoever. They really didn't want that, and there's many reasons in this book why the people would want that, but there's a reason that's more specific in this chapter that I'm going to be talking about soon. So there's two very important points in this chapter, and it's the cases for and against Albizu. So the case for Albizu, it's that people speculate. I say speculate, and it's just an allegation because unfortunately there still isn't enough evidence to prove this. And why do I say unfortunately? You'll see in a minute. Um, the
Conveniently.
case for Albizu. What?
Conveniently.
Exactly. Very convenient. It says the case for Albizu is that the U.S. government killed Albizu along with many others through torture and radiation. Oh my god, what is that random word irradiation? Basically being, how do I say this? In contact with
Oh,
radiation,
yeah.
somebody just
Exposed,
putting
being exposed to radiation.
yeah, being exposed to radiation.
Yeah.
Somebody exposes you to radiation. The action of that is called irradiation. That's the word you use. And then it says that's the case for Albizu. Like that's what the people thought. The people thought, oh my god, the U.S. government is totally responsible for his death, and they're totally responsible for the death of many other people because of that same reason: torture, irradiation, just complete injustice. Savages. That's what they are. Savages.
Yeah.
That's what the people thought. You know. And then there's a case against Albizu, which get this, it's so elaborate. It's such an elaborate point from the government of the United States. It's so good. Check this out. Albizu was crazy, and we had nothing to do with it. That's such a great argument. That is totally convincing.
Yeah, very convincing.
That's totally
especially
convincing.
especially from someone who was loved by everyone in the island. Well, some people, most people.
Yeah, yeah, because they're totally reliable. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
everything they say is true.
Because everyone loves crazy people, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like, he's crazy. I mean, who would be like only crazy
Following,
people,
yeah.
like only crazy people follow him and only crazy people want to get away from us, am I right?
It's a weird
Of
way to look at it,
course.
I guess.
As always, anyone who goes against the United States is crazy.
Yeah.
There's nothing new to that. We've been new about that for a long time, for the longest time.
Watches get put
Yeah.
in like a watch list.
I don't care. I
Do
don't
you?
care. I could care less. Like, yeah, we're crazy for not wanting anything to do with the people who legit think that the things that they're doing are justified because God Himself is telling them to do it. Yet we are the crazy people. That's cool. That's
That's how it
cool.
works. That's how it works nowadays.
That's alright. Y'all do y'all. Oh well. Anyways,
Mhm.
now that we've established those very two important points, which is the case for Albizu and the case against Albizu, let's establish why would people even think in the first place that the U.S. government would kill Albizu? What was the reason? You know, Carista, what was the reason? In what was the reason? That
Wait,
would be cool.
you cut out. You cut out a bit. You're fine. You're fine.
I said like insert clip of Cardi B screaming what
Oh,
was the
okay.
reason? What was the reason? Um and the reason why the people would think that the US would even kill Albizu or would even harm him in any way is because it's not the first time that there's been allegations of the United States funding and like sponsoring experiments on human like guinea pigs
Yeah,
with
like exploiting
radiation.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, and there's been evidence since the longest, like for the longest time, that that's happened. Like, I mean, for example, here, let me look for it real quick. There's this book called the Plutonium Files. It's a I haven't
Fancy.
read it completely. You know, I read enough for this chapter, and it's a book of this reporter that basically she like while she was working on some like she was working on like a
A case.
how do you call journalist work? How do you
A
call that?
case. Yeah, a case.
How do you like
She
yeah,
was
she was
working on a
working on a
case.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put it that way. She was working on a case, and while working, in a case in Albuquerque, yeah, Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
She was there. Albuquerque. That's how you say it.
I think so.
I don't know how to say that word. Albuquerque. Albuquerque. I
Albuquerque.
don't even
I
know
don't. I don't know.
that word.
I'm not from there.
Me neither. So like y'all bear with me. And while she was there, she found out a lot of crazy stuff, like a lot of really bad crazy stuff, like tons and tons of experiments done on people since the Cold War. Not just any people, like women, children, men, anyone really, anyone. And the saddest part is that like they've always denied this. By the way, this is the United States. The United States
No. Yeah. Yeah.
did these experiments. And they always denied it, but the evidence is there. There's tons of reports from doctors, FBI, everything, just everything. written down the things they did.
There's been cases
It's
like that,
horrible.
and we talked about this the other day. But like Stranger Things, it's based on one of those experiments. 11. That's a topic for another day. But like, it's just comes to show that it's not only us; it's a lot of other people that's been experimented on, and
Yeah, a lot of
yeah,
governments like they do a lot of fishy stuff, and then they like, oh no, we didn't do that, and pretend that we're dumb.
yeah.
You know, so like that's a really big reason why the people would think, oh, the United States killed Albizu because they've done it before. They've killed off people that they think are threats because that's how the United States viewed Pedro Albizu was a threat,
He was a
like
threat. Yeah,
you know, to their power. You know, I mean, the man wanted independence from the United States. Of course, he's gonna be a threat. You know. And then there's this very important thing, which is Dr. Cornelius Rhodes' notorious letter. And it's a letter where he calls, and I quote, here, let me look for it in my many documents. All right, so it says here, and I quote, "It would be ideal except for the Puerto Ricans. They are beyond doubt the dirtiest, laziest, most degenerate and thievish race of men ever inhabited this sphere. It makes you sick to inhabit the same island with them. They're even lower than the Italians."
was he not from here then?
No, he was American. Actually, he was
Oh,
sent
yeah,
from
yeah.
he was sent by the United States, like a organization. I don't remember which organization it was. I think I have it here. Give me a sec.
You're fine.
Um,
No, the thing is, I'm saying this because it's also in my chapter. It says something as well. So it's just interesting, I guess.
I can't find it right now. But
Don't worry about it.
it was like a nuclear commission of something or something. It was a really long name. It's not. It doesn't
Mm,
exist anymore. It's something that doesn't exist anymore. It was like disbanded a long time ago, but it was like a branch of like it was part of the United States government, and it's basically a institute where they researched anything that had to do with radiation, nuclear energy, and stuff like that for like benefiting humans,
yeah,
benefiting. Um, and then, he says, what the island needs is not public health work, but a tidal wave or something to totally exterminate the population. It might then be livable. I have done my best to further the process of extermination by killing off 8 and transplanting cancer into several more. The latter has not resulted in any fatalities so far. The matter of consideration for the patient's welfare plays no role here. In fact, all physicians take delight in the abuse and torture of the unfortunate Puerto Rican subjects. So that letter, very notorious, which was intercepted, or a former lab technician by the name of Luis Baldani. Baldani gave Pedro Albizu Campos letter, and he sent it everywhere, even to the Vatican, and nobody did anything about it. He sent that letter like to a lot of
everywhere.
people, even keepers everywhere. Nobody did anything about it. Because the United States covered it up, the FBI, because they were involved in all this.
Yeah,
And then we have that as another piece of evidence, as another reason why people would believe the U.S. would kill or harm Albizu Campos. And then we have the reason because they always refer to him as a threat, and that he, if it's a threat, obviously the what follows after he's a threat is he needs to be eliminated,
yeah.
as always.
As every single
He
threat,
died while, yeah, basically because it wouldn't be a threat if,
they wouldn't care.
and then exactly if he wasn't that bad, then they
Yeah,
wouldn't say those things. And then it says here that he died while incarcerated, so it was like coincidental. Oh, they take him to jail and then he dies. Who would have known? And then he was left in a very unhealthy state while he was incarcerated. Really, really unhealthy. And insert picture right here. I don't know. And he looked horrible. He looked horrible. He looked like a walking zombie, dude. Like he looked like a walking corpse. It was
yeah,
horrible. And then the lack of medical attention from the doctors in those facilities, which La Princesa, that's where they kept the prisoners in Puerto Rico, which most of them were people that were part of the Nationalist Party, aka people who did not want anything to do with the United States, the enemy.
yeah.
Um, and then the lack of medical attention, like the doctors in those facilities knew they were dying and they did nothing about it. Like they didn't give them any medicines, any treatment, nothing. They just left
They
them
left them for
there to
dead.
die.
Yeah,
Yeah, basically that's what they did. And there is again a lot of evidence of that because this woman, Herminia Rijos, which is, let me tell y'all, anyone who wants to follow along, this is in the page, wait a minute, almost there. This is in the pages 339 and 340. So this woman, she went to visit Albizu Campos, and she saw him as a, like, she says, she describes it as his calves and feet were swollen, red balloons. She touched one of the calves. It was hard as rock and hot, as if the leg had a fever. He showed her the heels of his feet and the palms of his hands. All were raw and peeling, as if with second-degree burns. He pulled up his shirt. Two hard lumps jutted out of his stomach. His chest and back were stripped, as someone had flipped him over on a grill. His head was swollen. She reached out and touched his forehead. It was boiling. In every way, from every angle, he looked like he was burning alive. So,
Yikes.
not only is there evidence, like, in his body that he was being irradiated, because the symptoms of irradiation are swollen limbs, redness, bluish marks, burning, like the skin peels, high blood pressure, and he was exhibiting all these symptoms. That's like, evidence that there was something going on. And he was receiving no medical help. Like, all they were doing is they gave him towels and he would like soak them in water and put them on so he wouldn't burn. And that's about it. That's all they did. And the rest, it was up to him to die, basically. And that's another reason why the people would believe it was the United States. Because, I mean, if he's being imprisoned by the FBI, which is part of the United States government, and
And randomly
he's
dying.
imprisoned by them, yeah, and then he randomly dies, and then turns out he got no medical treatment because I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have died if he did. Um, and all the people working with all this
Oh,
were
and I would
Americans,
like to
basically.
add something because I don't know if this says it in like your chapter, but it says that he like okay, based on Jose Maldonado, he wanted to like look for his medical records, but they didn't give him anything because everything was confidential. So maybe they did the same thing. Maybe
Also, that like
they
every
didn't want
time.
to.
No, yeah, and I'll get to that in a sec.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
The FBI files. And yeah, and also another very important thing. So as I mentioned, the unhealthy state that Pedro Albizu Campos was in, and we mentioned that the symptoms for radiation and stuff like that. Which radiation, if y'all don't know what it is an energy released atoms. It's we humans, we receive radiation all the time through like water, soil, air, the sun, and it's natural. It's a very low dosage, so it doesn't matter. But when radiation is we're exposed to like really high dosages of radiation, it's lethal. It's very bad. It's very lethal, and there was a report actually that some patients that were being experimented on for their benefit, and some prisoners, they were exposed to like 40,000 rems of radiation, and like it's like lethally, like the lethal dosage, it's like 400, 500 rems. So they were
Serious radiation
receiving
sickness from 300 to 400. I'll insert
basically
the chat. I'll insert the what's it called the chart. Yeah, the chart
the
on the
pictures.
screen. Yeah, the pictures on the screen. Just in
Yeah,
case
this
if you want to know the
the
dosage and the side
and
effects.
no, so you can have like a visual
Yeah.
of what that is. You know what I'm talking about. And these people were receiving like 800,000% more than what a human can take. And by the symptoms that Pedro Albizu Campos was exhibiting, and because he died, I'm pretty sure he was as well, being exposed to very high dosages of radiation, you know? And yeah, and that's why people thought that the United States would kill Albizu, and then they took no responsibility on it because he died basically in their hands while he was imprisoned. So they took no responsibility for it, and they
They
denied
covered everything
everything.
up.
They covered everything up because it says here FBI denied symptoms, and when they did autopsy, they took those files, classified. Nobody could know that. So nobody knew about anything. He just died. That's all people knew. Nobody knew about anything. How did he die? Why did he die? You know, they couldn't even see his body, and but the few times they did, He was dying. He was burning. He was disgusting. People were worried. What the hell is going on? Why is he like that? And why is he like that right after he was incarcerated by the United States? Right? So it's fishy. It's really fishy.
No, yeah, because he
Now,
was incarcerated many times, but you know,
no, yeah, but like the one time that they took him in like for a long period of time, which it was also coincidental with Dr. Rhodes, like he
yeah,
was in Puerto
like
Rico.
right after everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it
Which
coincided.
that part of the like there's FBI files on this. Y'all can actually look for it. There's FBI files on Pedro Albizu Campos. In their website, in the FBI website, and obviously there's a lot of stuff that's classified, but there's a lot of stuff that there's not, that it's not classified. And one of the parts that's classified yet to this day is that one of those doctors that dealt with all that radiation stuff, and was kind of partners with Dr. Rhodes. His visit to Puerto Rico was coincidental to the death of Pedro Albizu Campos, and that's classified. His whole visit to Puerto Rico, his whole journey in Puerto Rico, his whole trip, classified. Nobody can know about that. Why? I'll leave that up to you guys to
Speculate.
discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And reasons why the U.S. would even kill Albizu, because we discussed the reason why the people of Puerto Rico believed they would. Let's discuss the reasons why the U.S. itself would kill him. Like we've said, Pedro Albizu Campos was a threat to their power. He was a nationalist. He was not only a nationalist, he was president of the Nationalist Party. He believed in Puerto Rican independence and freedom. He would give speeches about it. People followed him. People liked him. And they thought he was anti-American because of racism, which is false. Stated here. A number of sources. Oh, by the way, page 309 in the book.
I'll follow along.
Says here, a number of sources, including the recently released FBI reports, assert that Albizu Campos was anti-American due to racism he endured while serving in the U.S. Army. That allegation is wrong on several levels. First, Albizu was not anti-American. He was against American ownership of Puerto Rico. This is a reasonable distinction along the lines of, I don't mind your hand, but please take it out of my pocket. So you know that phrase that goes like, don't get me wrong, I still want to see you eat, just not at my table? So,
I I'm not. Yeah, I don't think so. Haven't heard
well,
it.
that's actually a very common phrase.
Is it?
Like, I wish you the best, but I just don't want to associate
No, like
myself
I can
with
I
you.
get I know what it means. It just I've never heard it. That's
It's actually on one of the tags on one of my jackets.
oh really? That's cool.
It's cool. And it says here, second, the U.S. Army would not have been Albizu's first encounter with racism because he went to the University of Vermont and Harvard University, where he was constantly dealing with discrimination and racism. So it was not his first
He
time, and he
was of
actually dealt
color,
with it.
right?
Yeah, he was of color.
Yeah.
He was mulatto. And he was used to it, and he dealt with it pretty well. He dealt with racism pretty well because it's not the first time he had dealt with it. So that part where they say he was anti-American, that's false. But everything else could be a reason and why they would kill him, which is not justified. Killing anyone ever is not ever justified. It's not ever justified at all. But it's the United States. So, and also he called Governor Luis Muñoz Marin, he was very infatuated with the United States. To not say another word.
Yeah.
Let's just do like pucker our lips. That was Luis Muñoz
He was
Marin,
a suck up, basically,
basically.
without saying anything else.
And well, Pedro Albizu Campos referred to him in one of his speeches, which is what it was a very controversial speech,
Yeah.
as a parasite. Dun dun dun. Yeah.
Yeah.
At that point, the United States was like, we need to eliminate this guy right then and there. He needs to be stopped, right? And those are reasons, like, why this would even be a thing. The whole death of Pedro Albizu Campos because by the hands of the United States government. Those are the reasons why it's even like part of people's thoughts.
It would
And we
seem that
already
way.
discussed. Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
There's really a lot of reasons. If we really go in depth into this, which is a big ass rabbit hole. But it's stuff that happens that unfortunately I wish a lot more people covered this. because it's really interesting and it's really sad as well if it's true. If it turns out that it's true that all this happened, it's very sad, you know? And it says here we already covered the controversial speech, the false FBI claims, and a very important thing, which is the part where it comes into part why they would even hide his death, because they said that they had nothing to do with it. Oh, we had nothing to do with it, but we're hiding everything about him. We're hiding everything about him, but we had nothing
Yeah,
to do with it.
if it wasn't them, why would they need to be hiding it?
Exactly. And there's another reason for that, and it's because they did not want to make him a martyr for like the people of Puerto
Oh
Rico, which
yeah,
he
they didn't
still
want
he
people to
is.
be like,
He
oh, I want to step up for the same cause as he did.
exactly, but that failed because he is till this
Yeah,
day. He's a martyr for Puerto Rican independence. Everybody knows who Pedro Albizu Campos is. Every independent, like everyone who wishes independence in Puerto Rico, knows who he is and looks up to him. You know.
I actually saw a
Um.
quote. Someone used it. I don't remember. I don't have a picture of it. Someone used it recently, and it was so weird because I never knew about him. Like before I read this book. But
Yeah.
like, it's so weird how many
Like
people do.
I've no, I had heard about him because he's like a icon in Puerto Rican history, you know.
Is he?
And I knew who he was. Like I knew Pedro Albizu Campos, but I did not know him like in detail to say the least. Like I did not know all this about him,
Yeah.
you know. And which is his story is really interesting, but really sad. It comes to a really sad ending, and we're seeing it right here. Um, if you really want to see like a really tragic, sad ending to the story, please read the King of Towels, which is the last chapter in this book. Read it, and yeah, it's good. I read it and it's great. It's amazing. I want to adapt that into a movie if I
Link in the
could.
description.
Um, yeah. And now we discussed what radiation was. We discussed the evidence of radiation, of irradiation, which is on many people. The plutonium files talk about that. Dr. Rhodes' letter talks about that. It's in the FBI files that the U.S. Army and the U.S. Commission for Armed Forces funded and sponsored all these experiments, so you can't say that the United States had nothing to do with it. They did. And actually, they were forced by the press because this all got out because of the plutonium files, and after that, they were forced to, like, give out, like, $48 million, like, to families that were affected by this, you know? It's like make amends even though the damage was already done.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of evidence of irradiation. There's evidence of irradiation on Albizu. Like we have the pictures, we have the symptoms, we have the descriptions from people, from other people, the press. Herminia Rijos, she describes him, as if he's burning alive, and as we discussed, those are symptoms of, being irradiated, basically being, dealt with
Exposed to radiation. Yeah.
irradiation. Yeah. Um, we got the Rose letter, which is like blatant evidence of the U.S. Just doing that to people, because Dr. Rhodes was sent from the United States to Puerto Rico to supposedly investigate on nuclear energy and radiation and all that stuff, and to benefit humans, which we've established many times before. It was never, ever beneficial, and he said it himself. The benefit of these patients plays no role in here, So all of this very unjust, fishy, bad, evil, cruel, sad stuff. The United States has denied this for the longest time, and a lot of this is still classified. It got declassified, by the way, the FBI files. At some point, they did get declassified, but there's still a lot of things that are classified, that maybe are really important, and maybe they're classified for a reason,
Yeah.
you know? And I do not know if I mentioned, but the investigations towards the doctors, any doctor who tried to even get near Pedro Albizu Campos while he was alive and being irradiated, any doctor that tried to investigate him was tracked down by the FBI and sometimes put to jail, sometimes killed. So that was another reason why people believed the United States had something to do with his death. Like, why would they even try to stop these doctors? They were trying to help him. They were trying to benefit him. But the United States did not want anything good for him. They wanted him out. They wanted to eliminate him. And I don't want to sound biased on this, because then again, y'all, all of you should create your own opinions and
Yeah.
perspective on this. with what I'm saying, but I don't want to sound biased, but I mean, there's not really much evidence to say the contrary.
This is our point of view on stuff, or in this case, hers. She's
Yeah,
explaining to me. But yeah,
exactly.
it makes sense.
Like there's no evidence to back the United States. There's evidence against the United States, which basically means,
Yeah, there's no
just
counter
evidence.
evidence. Yeah,
Exactly. There's nothing to prove that no, we had nothing to do with it. Everything leads up to them killing, unfortunately, Pedro
murdering.
Albizu Campos, murdering him, and not him, many other people, like 20,000 Puerto Ricans, many other civilians since the Cold War, being subjected to radiation and not dying on the instant, but on the long run, they died because of that, because they never received medical treatment. They were exposed to very high dosages of radiation, and they just died. Unfortunately,
Unfortunately,
a
yeah.
lot of innocent people, because most of them were just, women and children because they're weak, and others were just out of pure, like, how do I say this, like, they were
Revenge.
nationalist, yeah, and they just wanted to eliminate them because they were the enemy, you know, and yeah, and all the lack of medical attention, constant medical attention, like there was never any medical attention for any of these people. Again, they died because of like negligence from the United States. They
Yeah,
wanted them
pure
to die.
ignorance.
There was never any benefit. And the United States government funded all these experiments that killed people. The money that was going into these experiments was from the United States government. It was American money. It was American bills. Benjamin Franklin's face on them. Okay? It was not another currency. It was dollars. American dollars. Right? Going
Yeah,
into all these experiments. There's no evidence to deny that. There's only
yeah.
evidence to
They were funded.
back that by the
Is
U.S.
there
Army,
evidence
U.S.
that they're funded?
Commission. Yeah, by the U.S. Army and the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Commission of Armed Forces.
Well,
Like, and yeah, and
that's crazy.
the other nuclear thing that I always forget the name of.
You're fine.
And, you know, it's just sad. And in the end, we cannot say when Pedro Albizu Campos died. We can't say why yet till this day. You know.
Yeah.
Because again, these are just allegations, even though there's a lot of evidence.
Yeah, this is all allegedly.
Exactly, unless the United States comes out and says we did it.
Which we know they won't.
Yeah, which we know they won't. But
It's been
we may
years,
never
so
know what really happened.
yeah.
And it's unfortunate, he died, and when he died, his body was already dead, already burning
Yeah.
alive. And it was really sad because he really wasn't a bad person at all.
No, yeah, he
And
was
by
an
the end,
inspiration to a lot of people.
no, yeah, and by the end, he did kind of become rebellious, but it was because he was tired of all the injustice. He was tired of it. He was tired of trying to be nice and nothing was getting done. So he's like, well, then I guess I can't be nice anymore,
Yeah. He had the
And
power to do something, so might as well.
exactly, and he was like, might as well use it,
Yeah.
And in the end, people wanted his death to be investigated. Obviously, it didn't go anywhere. When you're dealing with the United States, they would do anything. They will do anything to not taint their image, their reputation.
Yeah.
Which we know they suck at that. And unfortunately, it was left nowhere. We still don't know who killed him. We still don't know if anyone killed him. If he just died of natural causes. If he was like just of a heart attack, and and although we may want to think that yes, he died because of those experiments, so basically yes, the U.S. government killed him, and they just denied it. Sorry.
You're fine.
And although we might want to think that, and although it's like the most like logical thing,
Yeah, the most
conclusion
obvious.
of all the evidence.
Yeah.
We really can't say it is, because then again, unless the
It's
United
all
States
speculation.
says we did it, we may never know, unfortunately, why, how, or who killed Pedro Albizu Campos. And not even like there's many people which are involved in this. Not only him, there's many people who were killed because of irradiation. But again, it's just allegations,
Yep.
unfortunately, and it's sad because there's a lot of things, a lot of variables, and a lot of factors going into this, and a lot of people that it's just a lot. It's unfortunately a lot, and
And we still don't
yeah,
know the
there's a
full
lot of
side of the story. I mean,
exactly.
there's
We don't.
allegations, but we can't really say much about it because we
So
don't know.
this just yeah, this just goes down to theories.
Yeah.
These are just theories, allegations,
Leave
speculations.
your
Nothing is
theories
for
down
sure.
below in the comments.
Yeah. So again, as much as we would like to think that yes, he died because of that, unfortunately, we may never really know.
Yes.
I, you guys form your own opinions and your own perspectives on this. You yourself form your own opinion on this, your own perspective. I'm gonna be asking these questions real soon. In my
Yeah, we
opinion,
kind of gotta wrap this up.
do not let this like shift your opinions or your perspectives. In my opinion,
And if it did,
my
then just do your research.
uh, exactly. If you really want to form an opinion, you can use all this information, you know,
Yeah, don't take our word for
and
it. Just if you want, we can you can read the book and form your own opinions.
exactly read the book, read the plutonium files, look who Dr. Rhodes was. She was a physician. You can look for his letter. You know, you can do all those things, which basically I kind of did them for you right now, just in like condensed. You know, um, but in my opinion, I believe he was killed because of irradiation, and I believe that yes, the United States killed him and just denied everything, as well as they killed a lot of more people and denied it. But that's just my opinion. You guys can form your own opinions. You can form your own opinion. Now, all this said, all of this said, let's get into these questions.
Yeah.
Let me where the Q&A. Okay, here it is. All right. So first question is about the investigations of all these doctors. As I said, the United States the FBI investigated and spent a lot of money and time investigating doctors who tried to go after Pedro Albizu Campos, like to investigate, like to treat him,
Hmm.
basically. Um, do you? It says, do you think the doctors involved should have been investigated? Do you think it was justified that they were investigated? Do you think there was a point on wasting all that money, all that time,
Like
investigating those
investigating
doctors?
them?
Yeah, like the FBI investigating those doctors,
No,
because it
not at
was a
all.
lot of taxpayer money.
I mean, in the long run, I feel like it probably was because the FBI itself wouldn't incriminate themselves, you know? So it would eventually
Yeah.
be dropped, I think. But in the long run, I mean, I feel like they would be a little bit more cautious, or people would be aware that those doctors are the ones doing the work, you know? So I don't know. I could
Yeah,
go either way.
basically.
I think they should have. Yeah.
Yeah. And it says here, wait, I'm looking for something. Oh, it fell. It says here, if they didn't, like, at some point the doctors stopped trying to go after Pedro Albizu Campos for obvious reasons, but I'll leave that off to you. Do you think they stopped because of fear? Like, do you think they stopped because, we just don't want to get investigated anymore because it's our careers on the line? You
Wait,
know,
who?
do you
Who
think they should
again?
have do you think they should have continued even though they were being investigated? Because I mean, it was for a good cause. It was for a good cause, which was like trying to treat him. But do you think they should have stopped, or if they did stop, do you think it was because of fear?
Like who? Who would have stopped?
The doctors like the doctors trying to go after Pedro Albizus and like trying to treat him and investigate why he was dealing with all that sick.
I mean, I'm not sure. I would say yeah. I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that because I feel like they should have like investigated like why it would have happened, why would it happen, and see if they could actually see and cure him, you know?
Yeah.
But
Or like find out why
yeah, or
he was like
find out why he's like that and why they did that. Um, but I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. I would think so. Yeah.
it really is. Um I already said this. Wait. I literally just assumed two questions, like four questions and like two.
It's fine.
Oh God.
We're 50
Okay.
minutes in though.
What is yeah? What is your opinion on Dr. Rhodes? What is your opinion on him? We already discussed, the things he said and who he was and what he did. What's your opinion on him?
I don't like him. um,
I
you'll
don't think
find
anyone at
out.
this point does.
No, but like later on, you won't either. Based on my story, like my opinion, I don't like him. He killed off, well, allegations. We know it's him, but he killed off,
Yep.
allegedly killed off, Jose Maldonado and Albizu. So no, I don't like him at all.
Yeah. Me neither. But
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. You know. Do you think he should have been investigated as well? Because I mean, he wanted to
definitely,
want to go after him. Do you
definitely,
think he should have been
definitely.
investigated? Should he had been prosecuted? Should he? Do you think there was enough punishment for him? Do you think there was punishment at all?
I don't think there was punishment, or like I don't know if there was enough or if at all. I would have.
Because it says there he was
Yeah,
actually promoted. He was actually promoted. It's
that's
like
crazy. That's crazy.
director of all
No, yeah, I
this,
mean,
like
I
all those institutes.
I would have hoped he'd gotten investigated and punished for what he did. He did write a letter saying that he was gonna kill people, giving cancer to them. So
No, he said he did. That's the
yeah,
thing.
no,
He said I did. I
I
killed
gave
8
cancer. Yeah.
patients.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And do you think what the letter says is true? Do you think
Based on what he did to Jose Maldonado, Albizu Campos, and the other people that we might not know. Um, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Um. So as we discussed, it was Dr. Rhodes, and then there was another doctor called Dr. Marshall Brewster, which was the doctor that like his period of visiting Puerto Rico was like classified in the FBI files, so
Yeah.
nobody knows about that. Um, why do you think it was classified? Why do you think that part was like omitted? Why didn't they talk about that part of his visit? He was another physician. He was another doctor who
I don't
gave
know.
him inquiry. So
Maybe since he was probably working with same things as Rhodes. I don't know if he
yeah,
was, but maybe if he would
do
have
you
been.
think that had to do with like the allegations
Can
of
you repeat
people
that?
being irradiated?
You kind of cut out for me.
Um, Let me repeat that. Do you think it had anything to do with the radiation allegations? Like,
Probably,
the
probably.
things people were saying.
I'm not really sure, but based off like everything, yeah, probably.
Yeah. This should have been. Wait. Okay. Let's start with Albizu himself. Do you really think his wounds and his state of health, do you think it had anything to do with radiation? Do you think it was probably some other sickness? Do you think it was
Definitely
probably
radiation. I
something
mean,
else?
I'm sure it led up to something else, but prominently radiation based on his burns and the evidence there is to his, like to his
Yeah, we
body.
discussed that
Yeah.
radiation does that, actually. Those are things that are caused when you're exposed to a lot of radiation.
Oh.
Um, Now, based on what the United States says, do you think he was crazy? Do you think Albizu Campos, like, wanting, independence for Puerto Rico, do you think that made him crazy? Do you think
Again, I feel
he
like
was a threat
everyone's
that needed to be
entitled.
eliminated?
I feel like everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I feel like he wasn't crazy. And I feel like even just because he was bringing, like freedom and all that, I feel like that's not no reason to like. There is no reason to kill anyone, but like that in particular, he didn't do anything wrong, even if he was an enemy of the United States. No,
Yeah.
I don't think it was fair.
Yeah, and actually a question popped into my mind.
Go ahead.
I can't remember it now. I
Don't
forgot.
worry, don't worry, it's fine.
No. No. Um, do you think more people should know about this? Do you think I should have left that for the end, but whatever, it's in here.
No, you're fine.
Do you think like more people should know about this story? About his death and
I would
about
hope so. I would hope if me personally, I really didn't know about this. I really didn't. Um, but now like looking at it, and I feel like it's something that we should be taught and like known about. We should know about this.
Oh yeah, and that's another question. Do you think we're not taught like that because basically anyone who's ever listened to this is Puerto Rico. We're right now we're in Puerto Rico. We're living in Puerto Rico. We're Puerto Ricans, both
Yes.
of us, born and raised. Still being raised actually. It's just not we don't know anything about this in our history class. Well, right now we are. This is part of our
Yeah, right
history
now.
class, but back then, like I'm 15, he's 15. For 15 years of our lives, we have not known this. We have not
And I
known
feel
about
like it's
this, and
pretty
I'm pretty sure
important.
yeah, and it's really important. And there's probably many adults and boomers who don't know about this either,
I'm
and
sure there are
it's
many.
because it's not taught in schools until now for us. But it is not something that is
Not,
like a
yeah,
very
there's
important
not a lot of
topic.
people who actually know about it.
Instead, we decide to give all the spotlight to the king of genocide. We all know who that is, and because he's that cool, we had to make a statue of him, like the world's tallest statues about him. But we're not going to talk about that because that's not what it's about. It's
Yeah.
about another injustice. And okay, so this whole situation. Well, actually, I'm going to leave that for last. I'm going to leave that question for last.
Don't worry.
Do you think it's true that the U.S. government used hundreds of Puerto Ricans as guinea pigs for
I
reproductive
I
experiments?
think so. I don't know. I don't like to think that they did, but I'm pretty sure they did. They always
Yeah. Do
saw
you
us
think
as
there's
like second class citizens, so
yeah? Do you think like that there's enough evidence for that?
I don't know.
No.
I feel like there's always enough evidence for everything. It's just it's always covered up and not shown to the public,
Yeah.
so it could go either way.
Do you think it's justified? Do you think it's really justified, like, for medicinal purposes or for anything that they would use people, humans, as guinea pigs for that, knowing that it's not beneficial at all?
Could you repeat that?
That like, do you think justified all those experiments on people,
No. No.
like for any reason?
No, not at all.
Um, this is the same thing. So, oh, okay, yeah. It's because I talked about Puerto Ricans. Now, do you think it's true that they experimented on women, men, and children during the Cold War? If so, why do you think they denied and hid it? Why do you think if it was just experiments for the benefit of people, why do you think they would hide it? You know?
I mean, I guess the same reason they would hide everything else up. There's been experiments on people, and people have said it. They've come out and because apparently they wiped their memory, but like it's still prominent on their head and like their minds. So I don't know. I feel like they would hide it just to not provoke fear.
Yeah, because a lot of people died. Like
Yeah, no,
a
I mean
lot of
just
people
like not to make
died.
light of it, just to hide the fact that they killed people.
Yeah. Do you think the U.S. government this is a stupid question. I shouldn't even ask that, but do you think the
Go
U.S.
for it.
government handled the situation well? How do you think they handled it? How should have they
I'll
handled
just
it?
answer it by saying terribly.
Yeah, like
Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry.
I shouldn't have asked such a stupid question, but it doesn't
You're
matter. It needs to be
okay. Don't
asked.
worry.
All right. Do you think? Did I already? I think I already said this. I'm gonna ask it again just in case. Do you think radiation killed Pedro Albizu Campos, or was it something else? I think I already asked this. I think I did.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I don't
but
I don't know if you did, but yeah, definitely. Either
I
way,
think I did actually.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Do you think the U.S. government was responsible for his death? Is like the main question. Do you think the U.S. government killed him?
Definitely,
Do you think they did? Yeah.
definitely for sure.
Why do you think they kept everything secret? If they said they didn't kill him, why do you think they kept everything
Again, just to
classified?
like not provoke any fear, just keep hidden that they killed someone.
Yeah. Do you think it's the first time the U.S. has done something like this? Do you
Probably
think
not.
they keep doing this till this day?
That I don't know.
I mean, have you heard anything or have you seen anything about
I
that?
mean,
Would
no, I
like
mean, I don't know.
make
I
you
probably
think?
have, but I don't want to say anything just in case.
Well, yeah.
But I don't
It
know. I
says.
really don't know.
I mean, I for one think they not that extremely,
No, yeah, definitely. I'm sure they still
but in that
like,
lane.
yeah,
But
training,
in
I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't
like
know.
weird fishy stuff that they hide, like that's definitely still going on. It says here. Do you think they should be penalized? Do you think the United States, if you say all this is true, so do you think they should be penalized for it? Do you think they should take responsibility for it more than what they supposedly already have? Like because they try, they sent all that money to make amends, even though that really doesn't do anything. Do you think they should do something else? Like you
Like
know,
as in,
like if they should be penalized, if they should do something about it.
they probably should, but knowing them and just
I mean, it's
everything
the
they,
government, so I
yeah,
don't,
the government, I don't think no, they'll probably hide it,
Yeah,
just cover it up. So
yeah.
no, I don't know. I would hope.
Do you think they, on that note, do you think they should be more honest?
If they are, I'm sure there's a lot of things that would be going wrong right now.
Yeah. Do you think all this treatment, of taking people as guinea pigs and constantly discriminating Puerto Ricans and, just being really harsh towards us and really, like, basically savages? Because most of these guinea pigs were Puerto Rican people. And again, Dr. Rhodes' letter is evidence. I'm not trying to generalize this, by the way, because I know there was still people like Americans who had nothing against Puerto Ricans, but there was also a lot of people who had the same thought as Rhodes, as Dr. Rhodes.
Back then, of course,
And yeah, back then. And unfortunately, I still think now there's a lot of people
probably,
who
but
think
you
that
know,
way. The thing is, they cannot come out saying that right now because then
yeah,
it's going to be, yeah, a
I'm
whole
sure there
nother
still
story.
is. I'm pretty sure there still is.
Yeah, unfortunately. So do you think it's fair, the treatment that we've been receiving for all these years, ever since we became a colony? Do you think it's fair?
No, no, not really. I don't know. There's really not much to say about that, but no.
Yeah, do you think any of this is for benefiting us, or do you think it's just for lucrative
It's
purposes? Like
there's
just money?
definitely some benefit to it, but it's not as beneficial as it should be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Um do you think that represents a relationship, that tension that's always been there between the United States and Puerto Rico, that's always been there ever since we became a colony, because they've been like this since forever. They were like it's like they get really harsh, and then when people start rebelling, they like go down, and then they do it again, and then it's like a roller
Yeah.
coaster. Or the relationship between Puerto Rico and the United States is like a roller coaster, basically. Do you
Depends on
think?
who's in charge, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that happened then, it could still like represent something now till this day
I mean,
in
obviously,
in base of the relationship between Puerto Rico and the U.S.?
probably, like, I'm sure they still don't want us to be like independent and all that. They still want us to be a colony because they benefit more from us being a colony than being a state or just not. So I'm
Yeah.
sure, yeah, there's still that conflict there. I'm pretty sure.
Um, how do you compare that situation? Like, I know you kind of already said it, but how do you compare that situation right now? You know,
Well, it's just
like how
basically
do you compare the
that.
situation in Puerto Rico then? Like Puerto Rico, this is not about the government anymore, but like the situation in PR then to the situation in PR now.
I guess we have
Like,
more
is there
free
any
will now.
similarities?
I mean,
Yeah, I
there's
guess
still
like
the, yeah. Go ahead.
they're not hunting us down for
Yeah,
saying
exactly. They're not hunting us down for having our own opinions anymore. So
exactly.
that's a thing.
So that's good. Hopefully they're not experimenting on us anymore.
Who knows?
Oh god, I really hope not. Um, yeah. Do you think it has like obviously what you said? It's changed. Do you think it has changed for the good or for the bad? Like for the good or for the better? It's the same. I literally wrote that. I literally wrote for the good or for the better. For like the better or worse? Has it changed for the better or worse?
Definitely better, but at the same time worse, I guess. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna try to make light of that. Better in the sense that there's like, as an answer, there's not, FBI agents hunting us down for just like
Yeah, there's
wanting,
more freedom of
yeah,
speech and
there's
everything
more
in general.
freedom in that. But I still think there's still like a certain tension there that hasn't gone away. So
No,
definitely
yeah,
could
and
go both ways.
especially with the precedent that we have now. Not really a friend of Latino community, but we're all right.
I mean, yeah,
We're good.
everyone has their own opinion on that.
Yeah, as long as he stops caging children, we're gonna be all right. That's a topic for another day. You know.
Yeah.
Just this just keeps adding. Everything just keeps adding more and more. It's like so many parallels, in like U.S. versus PR
Hmm.
history.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many parallels. Like, so many things that happened then that still happen now. Just like dialed down. This still, in the
It's
end, when you
still
really look at it,
constantly happening. Yeah.
yeah, it's still a thing. So yeah, I think that's it for my
That's
part
it.
of this podcast. Yeah, I
Wow.
think it is.
Well, that was great. I liked it. I did not know anything about this, so it
I
was
I
all a
hope
surprise.
I was good at explaining.
You
I
did
don't
great.
know.
You did great. I don't know if I can live up to that.
I'm glad.
I don't know if I can live up to that, but like I'll try. Thing
Oh,
is,
you'll be fine. Don't worry.
my part is it's not as complicated. It's more like a story about someone in specific. Um,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it still deals with the same thing, but it goes a little bit more in depth into what actually happened to a single person, which would be Vidal Santiago Diaz. Um, Building up to his character, he was a normal person. Basically, he was a child back when everything happened. Um, he he met a guy called Jose Maldonado, pero that's I'm gonna talk about it a little bit more, like following up. The person who actually led him up to what he's doing or what he did, like back then, was his grandfather. Wait, give me a sec. Okay, Barrio's fine. Yeah, his grandfather actually told him to stay in school, which I don't know if that has to do anything with his character development, like, uh, more going on. But his grandpa he was actually working in the Salon Boricua, which actually becomes part of his job in the long run. Um,
Yeah.
but like
Which
in
he's also known as the barber. Am I right?
yeah,
Like, that's
yeah,
also known
because he becomes the
because of
barber,
that reason.
but he wasn't
Yeah.
the barber.
Yeah, it was just Vidal. He was
Yeah, he
just
was he
the
was just
man.
a normal Vidal and didn't know how to cut hair. He botched haircuts. He didn't know anything.
Yeah, yeah, I read that part. That part was funny
Yeah,
because he was blind, wasn't he? It
he
turns
had
out he
a
was like
he had
blind.
astigmatism. Yeah, he really can't see from. He's me. He's like me right now. I have astigmatism, so he can't see
Is
really
that
from
where you can't see from
close
far
up.
away?
No, close up.
Oh, okay. Oh, my dad has that.
Yeah,
I have the contrary. My mom has
myopia would be
both.
the other one. I have both. That's my struggle.
Yeah, that's trash. But anyways, getting back to the story. Sorry if I
No,
interrupted.
you're fine. You can keep interrupting. It builds up. You're fine. Don't worry. Mm, but yeah, it's really interesting to look about it because you see that his grandpa actually played a really important role into the person that he would become and actually is and would be. Because his grandpa worked in the San Boricua. And when something happened in 1926, the actual date is 1926. The United States Puerto Rico Sugar Company, the National City Bank, the American Colonial Bank, and the House of Morgan and Bankers Trust. It all made Puerto Rico into a one crop economy, which basically. Oh, wait, we lost you. Hello. Where
Yeah, we
was
are.
I? Where was I before the power went off?
I don't even remember. I was so
The
concentrated on
economy, right? The
being
one crop economy.
frustrated because of our. I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there was a bunch of companies that bought farmland from like sugarcane farms and tobacco plantations. What else? Like a lot of basically the what produces the economy in Puerto Rico, like what makes most of the money in the island.
Yeah, agriculture.
Yeah, agriculture. They bought that and made it into a one crop economy. Which, if you don't know, it's basically that they buy what's making money, which in that case would be the crop, and what makes the most money. So they profit of that, and they control it themselves.
Disney, am I right?
Yeah.
Oops.
um. So basically, I think a few more. I don't know if it was years or I think like leading up to that, his grandfather died, which caused him a lot of pain. Um, But he finished what he promised. He graduated, and when he graduated, he put his report card underneath his grave, which is kind of cute, but like sad at the same time. Like the person who inspired
Yeah.
him passed away. Yeah, but without him, he wouldn't have been in you know the Barbary, the El Salón Boricua, which when he lost when all that happened, everyone lost their jobs, and he had to go work for El Salón Boricua, which was hiring at the time. And the person running it was Jose Maldonado, which we will later know that he was known as El Águila Blanca. And nobody knew that he actually led a revolution against Spain, which failed, but he still did, which was pretty cool. And
That's pretty epic, dude.
yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
and that would be one of the inspirations that actually led Vidal to become the person he was.
Yeah,
But we'll
so
get
you're
more
seeing
into
all
that.
these
Yeah,
all these influences like from past wars for independence.
yeah,
It's
and
been
the
so like
person,
recurring on Puerto Rico, like
yeah, it's been a
constantly.
constant thing that's always been haunting us.
Yeah, basically. Como, ok, estaba el trabajo en español, como decimos acá, de Guatemala a Guatepeor. That's basically us.
Yeah,
That's basically Puerto Rico.
but it's always been like that, so we really can't do much about it. You can
Unfortunately.
change it, but one step at a time. So, but yeah, he was also really good friends with Albizu, which we'll know later on the story as well, which is El Maestro,
Shout out.
which everything really correlates back to him.
It does.
Yeah, and the there's
The
Salón
whole book.
Boricua. Yeah, the whole book is about him.
Yeah, literally the whole book is literally like it's divided on chapters, but when you really think about it, it's like one
Yeah,
big
it's one
story.
correlating character and topic.
Yeah.
So it's good. And to be honest, El Salón Boricua as a whole, people didn't know what it was. Like everyone thought it was a normal barber shop. But it wasn't. It was actually a whole secret organization, and it was like a place where people used to meet up and do illegal business. I say illegal because they
Yeah.
actually just gave food to poor people. And
Which back then, but for the people who don't know, that was like illegal receiving food from anything that wasn't the U.S. government.
yeah, and he
Yeah,
fed over 50 families, I think it was.
yeah, that's pretty cool. That's
It's
pretty
pretty
nice.
cool. And they
Admirable.
called him the Robin Hood of Puerto Rico. So
That's
it's
cool.
really cool.
That's a
Yeah.
cool title.
I love that guy. El Águila Blanca. And I feel like Vidal always wanted to live up to his standards. He wanted to be the next. He didn't want to be the next, obviously, but he wanted to like carry on his legacy. Um, and he did just that. When well, I'm not there yet. I'll say it a little bit. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Um, but yeah, people thought the FBI were like spying on them like since the beginning. They thought that the FBI like planted an evil eye, like searching, not searching, but like looking over them. And it's kind of interesting that they actually knew about that ahead of time, and it's kind of interesting. Um,
Which is, y'all know about that agent meme.
yeah,
Sup, FBI agent?
FBI. Oh yeah, both of them. I thought you were talking about a different one.
No, yeah,
The FBI
both of our
agent that
FBI
watches us.
agents.
Yeah. So that's basically it for them, you know. They thought they had an FBI agent, which they probably did, to be honest. I'm pretty sure they did.
Just literally, just like physically
Yeah,
there.
like someone
On, like now.
they thought they had a mole, so I mean, I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, back then it was all crazy. The whole reason he got into the Salon Boricua was because, as I already said, his grandfather worked there. But I'm sure, I think, I would have thought, like, I think that he wouldn't have gotten the job if his grandfather wasn't, working there because he was trustworthy. He was a
Yeah.
trustworthy person. He was a lector, as it says in the book. Um, and yeah, I think that, like, in my opinion. Eventually we go down the line of, Albizu meets Vidal, and they become close. Um, he wanted, or Jose Maldonado wanted Vidal to be the next Águila Blanca because because he saw him as like a worthy candidate to continue with his works and what he did, and he knew he was a good like influence to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Yeah, it was
follow.
like a good
Yeah.
How do you say that? How do you even say that word? It's like there's a word. If you go by Star Wars references, I'm not really good
His
at those,
Padawan.
but exactly
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Padawan.
basically.
He was
And it's interesting 'cause
chosen one.
he wasn't even good at the start, so pero they
Yeah,
created a relationship.
every single hero story ever, the
Yeah, like the
underdog.
underdog.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's cool to see that because he was a nobody basically. He was a nobody. Um,
Yeah.
his grandfather, he was a lector. He was respected, but he also worked in like the cane. He like cutting cane and all that, and it wasn't something that he would imagine to become in the future. You know.
No, I don't think anyone would like
Yeah.
just becoming this hero for the people. Like, you just don't wake up one day and say, "Okay, I'm gonna feed 50
Oh, I'm gonna
families,"
feed
you
50
know?
families. I'm gonna order a bunch of food
Yeah,
and do illegal things. Like randomly one
yeah.
day.
Or
But
just wake up thinking, "Okay, somebody's gonna give me a legacy that I need to like carry on, so let me get ready."
yeah.
But he just thinks that, you know.
I mean, maybe he did. Who knows?
I mean, we may never really know.
Yeah.
Who knows? He actually did wake up thinking that.
I never really like described Esteban Boricua. There's really not much to say about it, but he loved the smell of it. I don't know if that's relevant in any way, but I
I remember I read somewhere that it was called, some people called it Radio Bemba. Just
yeah,
more
yeah, I
things
was
could
getting into
spread
that.
more quickly.
Yeah, I was gonna get into
Yeah.
that because the news usually gets lost, and it would be like good if you brought it to a church or El Salón Boricua. That would be the only place where it actually would get out to the public and spend be informative. So
Yeah.
it was a double whammy. Yeah. Um, Following that, Jose Maldonado got sick. He went to check out for anemia, which we discussed in my friend's part. He went to get checked, and the doctor that was there would be the Cornelius Rhodes guy that nobody likes. So
Yeah.
you could
He's
imagine
so
how that
cool.
yeah you could
Alright.
imagine how that turned out. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, he got iron injections if I remember correctly. I don't know. Then he got throat cancer, which, if we look back, it's basically the same thing that happened to a lot of other people because he said he wanted to do that, and yeah, leading up to that, it would be
Yeah.
his demise. So
As we discussed, he even said it in a letter. He
yeah, he
admitted
even
it.
said it. He committed to doing the
Yeah.
crime himself, and he did. And nothing stopped him. No one stopped him at all, which is crazy.
Like
So yeah,
everything. Like everything bad in this world.
yeah,
It
um,
stops and it just keeps going.
yeah. Well, there was a thing that actually inspired Vidal to persuade, you know, like the whole business and all that, and become a nationalist as a whole. And it's because he witnessed the Ponce massacre. Like he was actually there in
Oh
person.
yeah.
Yeah, he witnessed it, and he got out unharmed, thankfully, but he still witnessed it, and it still haunted him. So that's a thing. And
Also,
sad.
sorry to interrupt,
No, don't
but
worry.
you might have to cut this. I am at 15% battery right now. I am going to die.
I'm just gonna do this
I'm
so I
at
know when to cut.
15%. Yeah, like he might need to cut this if this goes into the blooper reel or whatever.
Don't
Because
worry,
my
don't worry.
battery is also gonna die.
It's also gonna be a blooper reel. Can't you charge it and
Yeah,
talk at the same
hopefully,
time?
because there's a. I guess, but it's like I don't think the charger is that long. That's why.
Mm, what do you
And I
want to
would need to
do?
change settings and it will look bad. Just keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking. Don't worry. Keep talking.
Okay, resume. Do something so I know.
All right, we're back.
Resume.
We're back.
Okay,
Yeah.
so where was I? Um, yeah, this is where Vidal became a nationalist. He saw the Ponce massacre, and it scarred him. It was something very tragic. A lot of people were. It said that there were people clubbed, women and children were killed, and brains were spewing out. It was tragic. It was horrible, and I could imagine like people got murdered for
I
literally no reason.
That for me was a very interesting part of that chapter.
Yeah,
I enjoy graphic content,
yeah.
even if it's weird.
I don't like it.
I
I'm not
don't
a
care.
fan. It's fun looking at the perspective of it, but I don't. I wouldn't like it.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
it's too
Just
sad. Too
seeing
sad.
anyone's brains.
Spewing out. Yeah,
Yeah, horrible.
but anyways, going back to it, Vidal, like following up El Águila Blanca's death, he unfortunately passed away. He was found in the bathroom coughing up blood, and he eventually died because of the iron injections that Cornelius Rhodes injected him with, which would end up killing him.
Yeah. Ugh. Oh my
Yeah.
face.
No, go ahead.
No, okay, I said yeah, but I like voice cracked.
Oh, it's okay, don't worry.
It's weird.
Well, Albizu wanted to see his medical records. He wanted to sue Cornelius. Is that his name? Yeah, I think so. Cornelius Rhodes. Yeah, he wanted to sue him, but the hospital, like they didn't want to give him the medical records, which they were confidential, and he couldn't sue. And when he tried, he was dead. So it's unfortunate, but
Yeah,
it's a reality. So there's really nothing they could do.
fortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Albizu made Vidal, part of the whole, what's it called, the
National
chain.
Society.
Yeah, no, like, but he was part of the chain of command, which he met a guy called I'm gonna see here. It's called Remudo Diaz Pacheco. Yeah, that guy. Interesting name. Um, he was the leader of the cadets.
Yeah.
He was the leader of the cadets, actually, the chief, and Albizu was the captain. Was he? No, yeah, Albizu was the president, the captain of everything. So he made Vidal part of the chain of command, which is actually pretty cool. I'm glad seeing him actually doing something that would benefit everyone
Yeah,
else.
he's like Pedro Albizu Campos was like the Iron Man to all of this.
Yeah,
But actually
that's
makes sense. It makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, and Vidal is Captain America because he's like the first Avenger. So like Iron Man went to look for Captain America and then
yeah.
he like, hey, join me. And then Thanos is the United States and then like you know how Iron Man dies. So
I mean, they
Pedro
both
Albizu
died, so.
Campos already died. I mean, they both died, but let's just say Captain
I
America
mean,
grew old enough to die.
we don't know that yet.
Yeah,
um,
we don't. We don't.
um,
We don't know that yet. Captain America doesn't die, so Vidal doesn't
I
either.
mean, maybe he doesn't. Who knows? Well, it doesn't. I mean, I'll get there later. I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. um,
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah, we'll get there eventually. I'm gonna try to be quick because I think we already have like an hour or more of footage.
Literally,
We
but
have
most
80
of
minutes of
some of it's
footage.
just like bloopers, so like,
That's
you know.
fine. I mean, we could keep some of it in.
Some
This is
of
gonna be a
them
pain editing,
are
but it's fine.
Sorry.
It's not. Don't worry about it. It's completely fine. It's gonna be kept in. But yeah, eventually. I'm saying eventually a lot. I'm gonna have to cut those out.
It's all right.
Well, yeah. Vidal met Juan Emilio. I forgot what his other last name is, but Juan Emilio. He was a filmmaker. I think he was a Hollywood filmmaker. I think I'm not sure about that. But he met a filmmaker, and he was also like intertwined with the beliefs of Vidal because he saw the Ponce massacre as well. He was one of those other people who like was there and escaped unharmed, but saw everything, and he recorded some of it, which is interesting. I would,
Convenient. That's
yeah,
actually
convenient.
very convenient.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He wanted to, pero the guy Raimundo Diaz Pacheco, he didn't like that idea. Eventually, he found out, and when the movie news spread, everyone wanted to vote. Everyone wanted to do like let's save Puerto Rico. Let's independent. Let's make the independence. Stuff like
Yeah,
that.
everyone went on a riot.
Yeah, everyone went riot, and when Raimundo found out about it, he told everyone to stop. He didn't want it to be filmed, and he told Vidal to cancel the whole movie production, to erase everything, and burn the files, which is kind of,
That's sad. That's
yeah,
really sad.
sad
That
and
would have been
inconvenient.
so good.
And people were actually happy. The cadets, he got 8 cadets eventually. Like, I'm saying that a lot. It's fine though. Um, when Vidal made the internship program thing, there were 8 cadets that showed up, and those were the ones like filming the movie, and they were all happy. They did their best. It says that, welcome back. We had technical difficulties. Puerto Rico is the best island in the whole world. Our power went out, our internet went out, everything went out. So
For no reason.
yeah, but we're back now, so that's what matters. We
Yes.
are literally like 2 hours later, I think. Not pa tanto, but like, exaggerating a little
Basically,
bit. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but it's okay. We're resuming back to the movie. We talked about the movie, talked about how the files had to get burned and everything had to get burned because news got spread out and it was chaos. People wanted to be like revolting, and then the FBI was gonna get involved, and everything was gonna be so crazy that they were forced to stop the production of the movie. And the what's it called, Raimundo, is that his name? Yeah, Raimundo didn't want to continue the production of it. He wanted it canceled. Um, so yeah, basically the news got out again that Albizu was gonna get arrested. The FBI was looking for him, or the police were looking for him. Everyone was looking for him. He was in a lot of trouble, and yeah, that's basically where my friend's story goes off on how he basically,
Yeah, when they incarcerated him and then he
yeah,
died.
yeah, um and then which eventually led up to um
Yeah.
um yeah, well, it eventually led up to the FBI trying to track down Vidal in his own store, his own shop, or like barbery, not store, my bad. But yeah, and in it was late September in 1950 where when he got caught. He was walking around in his well, towards his barbery in Salon Boricua, and suddenly a black car started speeding up. There was a drunk in the street. That's the only thing he can remember. That's the only thing written down in the story. Um,
Yeah.
and he was basically jumped. The FBI agents got out of the car. Um, they were in the store. They stopped him, and basically they forced him to go with them. And the drone suddenly disappeared, and everyone disappeared. The car disappeared, and Vidal was no longer seen. Which leads the question: where do all the people go that are
When they are
captured?
taken by the
Yeah,
FBI. Yeah, by the what? The FBI. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
you're fine. Yeah, where do they go, and where did he go? Did he die? Did they kill him? I mean, it's the same fate, but what actually happened to him is unknown. So
Yeah.
that's basically my story. It's a little bit shorter than hers, obviously, because it's more like
No, but it's
a,
actually really interesting. Actually, that last part of the story, I read it and I thought that he was referring to the drunk man, that the drunk was a mole. And that when the, like, o sea, como él lo dice, yo pensé que era que el borracho estaba, era parte de todo el plan, que estaba haciéndose el borracho como para ver
I
dónde él
felt like
estaba.
it. I felt
Y
like
después,
that
entonces, ya, entonces cuando se lo
because he
llevan, después
disappeared.
él, exacto, por eso digo, que maybe the drunk guy was like a mole.
Yeah, maybe he was part of the whole investigation in the first place.
Yeah, as part of the plan.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think I'm gonna get to the questions.
Yeah, go
There's a
ahead.
few of them, and they're mostly opinion based, so just go ahead. It's basically like yours. It should be fine. Um,
Yeah.
okay, how would you describe Vidal? What do you think? How do you see him?
I mean, I would see him, how do I say this? Like, he like he's very determined and hard. Like he's very determined. He really like willingly. I don't think he would challenge himself unless other people would tell him like, oh, you need to do this. But when they do, he's not someone who's gonna like back out. He's actually gonna be like, okay, I'll try it. And like he determines himself to like do stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And like he doesn't let any minor obstacle, like for example
Face him.
the eye thing.
Mm.
Yeah, like you
That's a
know he
specific.
was supposed to cut hair, but like that thing didn't stop him. Like he was like, oh, I can't do that because I can't see for
There was an interesting thing in the story actually that it said that he always had a new pair of glasses. He always went to get a different pair. Like I don't know how long,
Yeah,
but
so it
he
wasn't
yeah
something that would stop him, you know. And since he's so determined, he was willing to do that, you know, for his job.
yeah definitely that's something that's very eye catching and I like it. It's good. I'm glad. I'm glad you
Yeah.
described it that way. It's yeah. You remember the thing I told you, like, where in 1926 there was a bunch of companies buying farmland, buying the tobacco plantations and all that. How do you think
Yes.
that affected the economy as a whole and like the people working as, because you know that his grandfather lost his job and his father as well, so
No, yeah, and that same reason a lot of people lost their jobs and you know plantations and stuff like that, and not plantations because that's something else. Anyways, like yeah, sorry about that, not
no, you're fine,
plantations.
you're fine.
Like crops and stuff where people worked in and stuff. Like it was basically the economy back then. Like how do I say like fast foods right now?
Yeah,
That's basically like where almost everyone can work in, so people go there. That was crops back then. You know, it was like a job everybody could apply to and you know get the job actually. And when they take that from the people, it's like it's a huge impact to the economy because there's like a lot of people without jobs, so they cannot buy, they cannot do anything, you know, they cannot invest on
yeah,
their own country because they don't have the money to do so,
yeah,
you know. So it's, I think it was a huge impact in economy.
definitely, definitely. Okay, next question. Do you think, as I said, his grandfather played a really important role in his life. He was the one who told him to stay in school, and he was the one who worked in Salon Boricua. Do you think if it wasn't for like his advice or him being there, do you think he would be different as a person?
I mean, I think maybe he would be a little bit different, but not at the same time because I think seeing his grandfather like being such a hard worker would inspire him a bit because part of the reason why he was like that it was because of his grandfather, you know, because it was like my grandfather's such a hard worker
Yeah, yeah,
and then he wanted me to do this, so I do it for that because I'm inspired. So I think he would have done it even without his grandparent like his grandpa telling him, "Oh, go study." I think he would have already done it because he would have like looked up to his grandfather and said like I want to be like my grandfather and for that I need to study,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So I think maybe he would have gone the same route, you know.
But remember that he went to the same job his grandfather did. Like he was like tour there. So I mean, yeah, I see your point though. Yeah. Okay, there's another one. Um, leading up to the same, it was leading up to the same question. How do you think his death affected him, like his grandfather's death?
I think it affected him a lot. I mean, it was a person he looked up to. It was a person he like inspired him to care of him.
Yeah,
And
to
I think
move on.
yeah, it would have been it would have been really devastating, you know. But at least I think he found solace in the fact that he actually like did what his grandfather told him to, you know, to go study and you know at least he didn't regret like oh my god I didn't do that when my grandfather told me, you know.
Yeah,
So it must have been pretty devastating. Someone who is basically your role model and they're not there anymore. They're not only like role model, their family, you know. So it should have been. I think it affected him a lot, but I think it pushed him to do more for him, you know.
yeah, sure, pretty sure. Yeah, that's good. That's great. Um, you know, it's I basically answered the same question, but or you answered it. But I'll give it to you anyways. Do you think if his grandfather didn't work in Salon Boricua, do you think he would have gotten the job?
Maybe because of his education, I think he would have.
I mean, yeah, but
Maybe.
it's a barber shop. Like, it doesn't require much education.
I mean, I guess, but because of the like el owner of the barbershop, I don't think he would have been like, oh no, I'm not accepting you. You know, he
Mm.
was a person who literally fed like 50 families
No,
under
yeah,
the
yeah.
table.
But
So I don't think he would have.
the reason he was so like trustworthy and like trusted was because he knew
I
his
mean, the
grandfather.
trust wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but the
So
trust
yeah,
wouldn't have been the same. But like giving him the job, I think he could have gotten the job.
probably
But
yeah.
I don't think the trust would have been the same.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, do you really think the FBI was actually watching over them at the beginning? Like, do you think that they
Definitely.
inserted like an evil eye?
The evil eye thing back then, nah. Right now, maybe.
Probably.
But yeah, like, but that they were watching, there was a mole in there. Probably a lot of people went in and out of that barber shop. Who could have known, you know?
No, in the
So
story
I
it
think
said
maybe
that
there was
he
like,
saw a lot of people going in and out of like the bathroom and all that stuff, which is where he kept his arsenal. So
yes, I think they're. I mean, for him to be captured at the end of the story, there definitely was someone.
yeah, definitely,
Definitely.
definitely, definitely. Um, why do you think if he was doing such a great thing, San Maldonado, what do you think? Why do you think if he was doing such a great thing, why was he captured? Why didn't they want him to do that? Like, why was it so bad?
Cause I mean, when the government doesn't do things themselves, like, and somebody else does it for them, like, if the government is not doing anything and I see someone who's doing something, I'm giving all credit to the person who's doing something,
Yeah,
and I'm not giving the credit to the government, and that's what they want. They want credit for things that they don't do or do, like, they want credit for everything. So seeing that somebody's like stealing their spotlight in a way and could possibly mean that people would listen more to that person than to them, I think the government would have tried to stop that.
mm, yeah, definitely. Um, okay, do you think I think we already answered this question in the other side of the podcast, but now I want to see your opinion. Do you think Dr. Cornelius Rose was ever captured?
No, he wasn't ever captured. I don't think he was. I don't think he was punished for what he did. I think he's a horrible person that should have been. He should have been punished for the things he did
Yeah.
because they're unjustifiable. They're horrible.
No, yeah, definitely. They're horrible. Um, okay, so then when, when all this happened, when Jose Maldonado died, Vidal became like the leader of the Salon Boricua, and he gave um like the cane workers, the member of the Albizu cadets, free haircuts and discounts. Do you think that like molded his reputation to look more like El Águila Blanca?
I think it did. Yeah, I think it definitely did. Yeah, especially when it comes to cadets. You know, most people wouldn't have like. They actually would have been like hesitant. You know,
No,
and
yeah,
like him still giving them the same service and even a better service. I think definitely put him up there.
yeah, that's great. Um, do you think Vidal witnessing the Ponce massacre, do you think that took like a really big toll on him? Like we know it did, but like how big?
Yeah. I think it was a huge toll. I mean, seeing innocent people being battered to death, children, women, not only just people like Puerto Ricans, he's Puerto Rican,
Yeah,
like Puerto Riqueño, you know, and
his
just being
people.
like, yeah, his people innocently beaten to death. That would have, and that he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Okay. Where do you think that the disappearance of the nationalist and Vidal himself, where do you think they go?
Same place where Albizu went
You think?
and then died. Yeah, definitely. If they don't go there, they could go anywhere. They end up the same way, dead.
Yeah. Plus, it's been years, so they're definitely dead by now.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I'm at 4% right now.
We're almost finishing. We hope it doesn't die out again. I got a few more questions. Okay. Was it okay, hiding weapons, like his arsenal? Do you think it was okay what Vidal did?
In those circumstances, there was no other option. Like, imagine they raided the barber shop and, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. definitely. Um, do you think associating himself with Albizu was okay, like good for him in the long
It,
run?
I mean, it's not for anyone. He's a nationalist, but it's a good cause.
And it's
It
definitely
the
dangerous.
only yeah the only way it's the only reason why it's not is because the U.S. government says it's not, but it's a good cause.
Yeah, definitely.
It's dangerous, but it's good.
Um, was Vidal influenced by his ancestors and by El Águila Blanca a lot? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think definitely. I think if it wouldn't have been for them, he wouldn't be who he was. He wouldn't
Yeah,
have been who he was.
for sure. Why do you think they call Jose Maldonado the Robin Hood of Puerto Rico?
I mean, because he fed a
Yeah,
lot of families, he was taken from the rich, given to the poor. Basically, he was taking money from all those people who came into the barber shop and rich people and stuff like that, and basically from the government and all that stuff, and giving them to people who really needed it.
yeah,
You
for
know,
free. He wasn't doing this for money.
exactly for free. He wasn't charging fees for that or anything.
Yeah. Um. Okay. How do you think Vidal reacted to him becoming captain in Albizu's army?
I think that would have been like really surprising. Like I just met this guy and I'm captain of his army.
Yeah, I think happened so fast.
Yeah, it would have been a lot to take in.
Well, okay. I have a few more questions. Don't worry. Um. How do you think Vidal's relationship with Albizu was?
I think it was like I was saying, Iron Man and Captain America.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
you
earlier on in the
know,
podcast.
yeah, it was. I think it was a good relationship in the sense that they trusted each other a lot. I mean, Vidal wouldn't show Albizu the weapons if it weren't for that, and Albizu wouldn't name him captain of his army if it weren't for that. So I
So
think they trusted each other in a
they
lot.
trusted each
They
other. Yeah.
trusted each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think the movie they were shooting, which would have been amazing, would have been a great view, like a point of view of everything. Why do you think it was
Yes.
canceled?
I mean, I think you said it yourself. I mean, it would have been an outrage if that got out, especially with the FBI.
Oh
They
yeah,
would have gone sicko
definitely,
mode.
definitely. Um, do you think Vidal lived up to the legacy of El Águila Blanca?
I think definitely he did. I think he even did way more because he legit became captain of the nationalist army, to be honest.
Yeah,
And the things he did, and he just like made everything way better. You know,
he actually took action.
and he got us. Yeah, he took action. He got associated with Albizu, which it was dangerous, but it was a good thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and
I think
he
I
couldn't
think
have done that
he
without Jose Maldonado in the first place.
exactly he set up his own legacy. I think.
Yeah, that's great. Great. Um, what else? Um, was the barbershop a really strategic place, or like why a barbershop? What do you think?
I mean, because in a barber shop, you got back then that's where people heard music, people would go and sing and people hear music in there and it was like a place where it was like, people would just chill, people would just go there and talk and sing and dance and get a haircut at the same time and even till this day, like when you're getting a haircut, you're always having a conversation with
Yeah.
the person who's cutting your hair. Like it doesn't matter where it goes, but there's always a conversation, you know?
No, yeah, definitely. It was a like an unexpected place as well. It was. I mean, it was good. I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. It was a good place to hide anything.
Basically, it was because it was like, why would anyone hide guns in a barber shop?
Yeah. Okay, this is the last question. We need to do this fast because you're running out of battery. But okay. Do you think Vidal being in the wrong place in the wrong time, like, was the reason why he was caught? Like, if he was somewhere else there in that time, do you think he would have gotten caught or at all? You know?
Probably, yeah, probably because I mean, the most logical place where the FBI could find him was the barber shop, you know. So I think maybe it would have been somewhere else. Maybe he wouldn't have gotten caught that time, but I think eventually he would have,
Yeah.
maybe not
Yeah.
just there.
Yeah. That's fair. Oh, well, that's all of them. That's all the questions. I went a little bit too fast, but for the sake of the video
That's
not being too long,
yeah, it's cause it's my battery.
it's all
Sorry,
right. It's all right.
guys.
Don't worry.
You know,
We got like 2 hours
sorry,
in, so
Missy Sufront.
sorry you have to watch through 2 hours of footage.
Yeah, sorry you have to watch like 2 hours of this.
But
We
it's all
apologize.
right. We better get an A.
Yeah. Literally.
Nah, I hope
But
you
yeah,
liked it. That's all there is to it.
yeah.
Anything you want to say?
I mean, yeah. I mean, for example, let me talk a little bit of my experience. I have 2%. My
Yeah,
experience doing this podcast, it was fun. It was tedious. It was difficult, but it was fun, I
fun.
guess. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a new experience, so yeah. I like trying new things. A lot of technical difficulties, but we're all right.
Yeah, we pulled through it. It was
Dude,
kind
I
of
got
fun.
1%. Oh my
Okay,
god.
this is gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna say something fast. This is really fun. I really like the information. The book is really good. Recommend it. So yeah. Thanks for watching, and see you later.
Yeah, the book. By the way, the book is a really good book if you're interested in it. It's called War Against All Puerto Ricans. Author Nelson A. Denise. So
Cool.
yeah.
You.
Great.
I can still see you. I still see you.
How can you still see me?
Okay, you're dead. It died, but it's fine.
Yeah. Dude. Anyways, like, just take esta parte ponlo en audio.
Yeah,
Like, okay, do the outro only audio. Just pon
I
el
paused
logo.
it. I paused it. Wait.
Pon el logo y abajo dice es que her battery died or something.
Yeah,
And just
it's still
make the outro
recording. So yeah.
audio.
Okay. We're recording this in audio right now.
Yeah, because
Uh,
my phone's battery decided to die.
but that's okay. So this is the end. I'm glad you guys stayed watching this long video.
Yeah, if anyone stayed this long, thank you so much.
It was
We
very hard to
appreciate it.
make. We really do
It
appreciate it.
was. It really was so many difficulties, so many technical difficulties. Power outage, battery, internet, like, it was horrible, but,
But it was
it
worth
worked
it.
out in the end.
Yeah, it did. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in another time if it ever happens again. We'll
Yeah.
see you then.
All right. Well,
And like I said before my battery died, real quick, if anyone's interested in reading the book, it's called War Against All Puerto Ricans, author Nelson Denise.
can you
So
say that
yeah.
again? Can you say that again? You gotta be cut up.
Okay, wait, let me repeat this. For anyone who's interested in the book, it's called War Against All Puerto Ricans, A Revolution and Terror in America's Colony, and the author is Nelson A. Dennis.
Yes.
Or Denise, however you want to say that.
It'll
Yeah.
be if it ever gets published in the description down below.
Basically. It's a
but
good
if
book
not,
for anyone who wants to read it.
but if not, just have a good day.
Well, yeah, have a good day or night or afternoon whenever you're listening to this. Have a good one. Thank you for staying this long. And yeah, I guess
And we'll
we'll
see you
see you
guys.
any other possible time.
Yeah. Well, goodbye.
Yeah, bye.